जैसी महामारी चल रही है, इस विषम परिस्थितियों में गुवाहाटी बटालियन ने बहुत अच्छा काम किया। जैसे कि मंदिरों को सैनिटाइजर किया, बसों को सैनिटाइजर किया। इनकी प्रशंसा एनडीआरएफ के प्रमुख ने भी की। उन्होंने एक आभार लेटर भी गुवाहाटी तेरा पंजीयक परिषद को दिया। जैसा कि सब अपन गुवाहाटी परिषद और भी हमारी विभिन्न तरह के आयाम करती रहती है, उसमें मुख्य रूप से इस कोरोना महामारी में टीवाईपी गुवाहाटी ने बटालियन के साथ मिलकर राशन किट, मास्क वितरण भी किया तथा गुवाहाटी परिषद नए नए आयाम भी कर रहे हैं। उसमें मुख्य है ब्लड कैंप का भी है, ब्लड डोनेशन कैंप भी करवा रहे हैं हम लोग। और जितने भी संस्था के धार्मिक अपने जो हो कार्यक्रम है उनके करने जा रही है। और मैं पीटीआई पे इस प्रोग्राम को सफल बनाने के लिए आप सबका बहुत बहुत सहयोग के लिए सहयोग की आशा करता हूं। और इसी के साथ आप सबको बेस्ट ऑफ लक। ओम आराम।
धन्यवाद अध्यक्ष महोदय। अब हम चलेंगे उस ओर जिसके लिए आज हम सब जुड़े हुए हैं। जी हाँ, हमको आज बनना है मेडिकल फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्डर। और वो कैसे बनेंगे, आइए हम चलते हैं सीधे हमारे ट्रेनर्स के पास। और आज के ट्रेनर निकुंज जी सेठिया से मैं इनवाइट करूंगा कि आगे का सेशन के लिए आप सर अनम्यूट करें और आगे का सेशन ले। निकुंज जी सेठिया।
Well, good morning, everybody. A very bright morning today we have with us. So let us first understand what exactly do we mean when we talk about a medical first respondent. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand that there are some disastrous events happening in our day-to-day lives, right? So before we can actually provide any medical attention or we can provide a doctor to an individual, there are some precautive measures that you can hold from your end in order to save that person from getting, devastated or making the situation worse. And that is why we need to respond as a medical first respondent in a situation such as these, right? Now, today we'll be talking about various types of normal, disastrous events that happen in our day-to-day life, and yet we don't know how to respond in that particular situation. So we'll be talking about quite a few of them. Starting with, we're going to talk about burns, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, let us first understand what exactly burning is. Burning can be of a lot of types. Could be an electrical or a chemical or a radiation reaction on your skin that might rupture the tissue entirely and can cause a burning sensation throughout the body parts that has actually been under the burnt area, right? Let me bring out some facts to you that will, make it interesting for you to understand exactly how things work out in India. There are around 70 lakh cases of burns annually, out of which 1.4 lakh people die. And the worst case scenario is 70% of the population that dies due to burns is categorized under the age bracket of 15 to 35 years. And ladies and gentlemen, these are the people who actually bring out the best of an economy. So today, if you see that it is the cream of the population is actually dying because of lack of facts and knowing how to react in situations that of burns, right? So that is why we're going to understand few things today, and we're going to learn how to react in situations in case a person is actually burning right in front of you. To understand that, let us first understand the composition of the skin. We need to understand what the skin consists of so that we can understand how severe a burn can be, right? Let us understand from this example. If you can see the tissue of your skin consists of three layers, right? The first layer, that is the skin that you can touch, feel, and see from your bare eyes or your naked eyes. The skin that you can actually see is known as the epidermis. The second layer of your skin is known as the dermis, and similarly, the third layer of your skin is known as the hypodermis. So these three layers together form the skin of an individual, right? Now, why do we understand three different layers of skin? We understand this because we need to understand the severity of the burn. How do I explain this to you? If in case just the first layer, that is the epidermis of your skin, gets burned in a burn, it is known as a first degree burn. If the second layer of your skin gets burned during a burn, it is known as a second degree burn. And simultaneously, if all the three layers of your skin get ruptured due to a burn, it is known as a third degree burn. A third degree burn is the worst case scenario when we talk about burns, because all the three layers of your skin get ruptured and it takes really long time in order to regrow the skin back. And in most of the cases, if it's a third degree burn, the skin doesn't even regrows, right? How do we understand, but just by looking, what kind of a burn an individual is facing? It is very simple. When actually you can see is the first layer, as we were talking about the first degree burn, you can easily understand it if the skin regrows in around 3 to 4 days, right? If it's a second degree burn, there is a possibility that the person will start having blisters. Now, what exactly blisters are? Blisters is nothing but it's the formulation of bubbles that happen over your skin, as you can see in the photo itself. Just a recommendation from our end, in case you have blisters in your skin, never go up popping these blisters, because these blisters have some chemical composition which might rupture the surrounding skin as well. So let the doctor treat you and do not burst open these blisters and make the chemical come out, right? A third degree burn is the worst kind of a burn an individual can ever face. As you can see, in a third degree burn, the skin gets entirely charred. It burns out totally. So in that situation, you can simply look at the person's skin, and you can understand if the skin is having a third degree burn or not. And a third degree burn mostly does not regrow, so it is very hard for a person to come back from that of a third degree burn. Now let us understand the rule of nine. An adult and a child have different compositions of body, right? So the skin composition is also different in both of them. We need to understand the entire skin composition in human body, कि कितना skin कौन से body part में कितना percentage में present है. ये हम लोग को understand करना जरूरी इसलिए है because tomorrow when you actually look out for an individual, you can see what is the composition of the skin and what exactly can the severity be caused. So as you can see in the example itself, लोगों के एक adult के right leg left leg में 18% of the skin constipated रहता है और compiled रहता है. Head पे there are 9% of skin, back पे there is 18%, chest पे 18%. Similarly एक बच्चे के भी back और chest में 18%, but उसके arms, that is the hands, में around 9% रहता है, legs में 13.5% रहता है. Now understanding both concepts that we studied, that was the first degree, second degree and third degree, and the rule of nine, let us understand how to categorize burns. सिंपली जैसे कि मैंने आपको बताया था, एक फर्स्ट डिग्री बर्न वो होता है जो बहुत इजीली रीग्रो कर जाता है इन अ डे और टू और सिमिलरली ऑफ दैट स्पैन. दैट इज व्हाई 50% ऑफ द केसेस दैट आर अ फर्स्ट डिग्री बर्न, वी कैटेगराइज देम एज माइनर बर्न्स, क्योंकि इट इज नॉट दैट सिवियर एंड इट कैन इजीली रीग्रो. Less than 50% of these first degree burns are considered as moderate burns. Now, why do I say that? Because can be sometimes a possibility that even a first degree burn can be a slight difficult in order to regrow. So it can be less than 50% of the cases is known as moderate, but none of the cases is known as a critical case, because I said it can easily regrow. Similarly, a second degree burn may 2 to 15% of the cases is considered as a minor burn. 15 to 30% is known as a moderate burn, and only less than a 30% chance is that a second degree burn will be a very critical burn, because like I said, second degree burn also destroys your second layer of skin. So there might be possibility that it is a critical burn, but it is only less than a 30% chance that it is going to happen. But when we talk about a third degree burn, only less than 2% cases is categorized as a minor burn, because you need to understand all the three layers of your skin have been burnt. So it actually is very minimal chances for you to regrow that skin. So therefore 2% or less than 2% chances are that a third degree burn will be categorized as a minor burn. 2 to 10% is considered as a moderate burn, and more than 10% of all the cases that happen a third degree burn are the critical burns, and that requires immediate medical assistance. Now let us understand this something we have studied in our chemistry classes, right? In order for a fire to start or even to sustain, there are three things that are equally important. That is the heat, the fuel, and the oxygen. So tomorrow, let's say if I myself gets caught on fire, so what is the first thing that I need to do? What I can do is I need to throw myself on the ground and start rolling. Now, why do I do that? Once you start rolling, what you're actually doing is you're cutting yourself from the oxygen that is in the environment and that is surrounding you. When you start rolling, you cut off yourself from the atmospheric environmental, air supply, and that is how you stop the oxygen supporting the fire, and therefore the fire stops. So if you're individually standing alone tomorrow and you get caught on fire, just drop down on the floor and start rolling, right? So there are few things that we need to understand that needs to be done if you see a person is actually burning or there is a burn on a person's any part of the body. The first thing is remove their clothes, any ornaments they are wearing. Now, why do I say that? Understand, today if I'm wearing a gold chain, right, and if I have a and if I'm on fire and my body is burning, these chains have a tendency of getting heated up really fast because they are metal, right? So what exactly can happen is this metal can get stuck to my other part of the skin which was not already ruptured. So now to take off that metal body from my skin would have to be torn apart, which can also cause a lot of problems. Therefore, the first thing that you need to do is you need to take out all the ornaments, the watches, the clocks, the watches, the chains, or any kind of metal ornament that the individual is wearing, and tear off their clothes, because the clothes might also lead out to increase in fire. What you need to do next is you need to place that body part, whatever is under the burn, into 20 minutes of consecutive running water. Now, why do we do that? Is because when there is continuous running water, it provides a certain kind of soothing sensation to the individual that has actually been facing the burn, right? But never in your life ever apply ice on a burn. People recommend applying ices, but they are totally wrong. You should never apply ice to a burn situation. Now, why do I tell you that? Is because understand, if I have a burn over here, my body temperature is on a very high temperature, right? Because I actually had a burn lately. Now, if I apply a cold item such as that of an ice into that particular situation, there is a difference of temperature that is created. My body that was on fire was actually very heated up, and then I'm applying ice, which is actually very cold. Due to the difference in temperature, the entire tissue gets ruptured, right? And then it can cause a severe damage to what was not possible in the starting cases. We can only worse the situation if we start applying ice. If you really want to apply anything, if you really want to provide sensation, a soothing sensation, put the individual's hand or whatever the body part is under 20 minutes of consecutive running water. That would be enough for that moment. Now, what are the things that you need to do? Right? Also understand, you should never, we are not that medically advanced ourselves because we have not studied medicine. So we should never, assume any of the injuries to be small. It might look small, but the severity could be anyhow. We ourselves don't know what the problem is. So never underestimate an individual's injury and always show him to the doctor and explain the doctor what exactly happened. Like I said, never use ice in situations of burns because that can rupture the entire tissue. Like I said in my starting slides, if you have blisters, like a second degree burn can cause blisters, never go up popping those blisters. Never burst them open. Also, people have a tendency of applying home remedies. Some people apply butter, some people apply provide a soothing. Hello.
यस, आप ऑडिबल हैं अभी. बीच
Okay.
में स्क्रीन स्टकअप हो गया था. अभी आप ऑडिबल हैं. प्लीज कंटिन्यू.
Yeah, okay. Sorry for the miscommunication, guys. Due to the lack of internet, I guess there was a lag. Continuing, so like I said, you can actually use aloe vera gel in case you want to provide any soothing sensation to the burning part. Remember, what you can also do is you can actually cover the entire area of the burn. Now, why do I tell you that? Is because there are like millions of microbes which are there in the atmosphere. So when you keep that burn position open, it might be a possibility that the microbes get attached to that particular burnt area. In order to protect them from that particular situation, what you can do is you can wrap the entire burnt area with a dry cloth, could be a gauze or anything of that sort, and do not open it until the doctor sees. Right. So with that, we come to a closure to an understanding how to react in situations if you see a person is actually undergoing through a burn and how to react in that situation. If there's anyone who can mute themselves and just summarize what I said entirely, it'd be great. Since it's an interactive session, it should be a two-way communication. So I just explained to you how to react in situations of burn. If there's anyone who can just summarize in just 2 to 4 lines and make us understand what we studied when it comes to burn, anybody? Well, guess seeing none, I'll just once again summarize it for you all. Burns can be of different nature. It could be a thermal burn, it could be a chemical reaction, it could be any kind of burns. In case of burns, never apply ice on that particular situation. You can actually provide 20 minutes of continuous running water. Inform the doctor about the injury and judge the injury on the basis of rule of nine. Like I said, it could be a first degree, second degree, or a third degree burn. If you have blisters, don't go up popping those blisters and let the chemicals spread out on your skin. So with that, we come to a closure and an understanding to how to react if there is a burn. Let us move forward to another one of the most commonly seen problems whose solutions not everybody have, right? It is choking. Now, what exactly choking is? In simple language, in a layman's language, there are two pipes that are involved in your throat. Okay, the one is known as the food pipe, the other one is known as a windpipe. Simply, when a foreign object or a food item gets stuck in your windpipe, the air passage gets blocked. So either you can't breathe from your nose to your lungs or can't refine your air from your lungs to your nose, right? And due to that, you start to choke. That is the simple concept of choking. And as you can see in the picture, the individual is actually making a symbol such as this. This is the universal symbol or showcasing that the person is undergoing choking and he requires help. So if anybody tomorrow goes up and starts doing this, you need to understand this person is actually choking, and how to react in that situation is what we're going to learn in the preceding slides, right? There are a huge list of items that can actually lead out to choking, because in the age group of 7 to 15, people have a tendency of putting whatever they find in their surrounding into their mouth, right? Could be tiny batteries, could be coins or anything. So there is a lot of list of things that can actually lead up to choking. What are the things you can actually encourage your seniors to do in order to stop them from not choking? There are a lot of things that you can do. First, you can ask them to chew slowly, take small bites while they are eating, clear their mouth after each and every bite. And there are several other things that can be actually taken care in order to provide that person from not choking in future references. Now, like I said, the universal symbol for you to understand choking is this. But if an individual does not do that, what are the other ways for you to understand if the person is undergoing a choking or not? You can see that if there is excessive drooling, or there is excessive drool coming out of their mouth, बहुत बार एक ऐसा possibility भी होता है where the individual starts speaking in a shrill voice. उसकी voice बहुत soft हो जाती है, because see, the air is not exactly passing through the windpipe, so the individual is having a problem breathing. So when you have problem breathing, you can't actually talk properly. So the person's voice comes down or shrills or becomes in a lower position or a soft voice. So that are quite a few, as you can see in the PPT itself. There are quite a few symptoms for you to understand that the individual is going through the concept of choking, right? So what needs to be done in case a person is going choking? Now understand, there are two types of individuals. We as an adult need to be treated differently compared to that of babies when they are choking. So we have a demonstration, a video demonstration to understand how to react or how to help an individual who's actually going through choking. As you can see, the individual is showing the universal symbol that he is choking. When a person is choking and you want to help the person, the first thing that you need to do is you need to go talk to the person and ask for consent. He said, are you okay to allow me to help you? Only if he allows you to help you, you move forward to help the person. As you can see, the victim allowed the person to help them. So what you need to do is you need to make your prominent leg stand in between the victim's both legs so that you can actually make a good grip of the individual. Then you forcefully pull the hands of the individual back, and then you bend the person in around 90 degrees if that's possible. Then you slowly start to blow back the individual. You slowly start to press the back of an individual. Make sure it is in one direction. Don't go up, down, up, down. Just make sure it is from below to up in one direction and do it 5 times. 5 times would be enough in order to put the particle come out from the mouth. If that does not help, we move on to an advanced stage that is known as Helmick maneuver, or also known as abdominal thrust. You again have to put your prominent leg, right or left, whatever it is, in between the legs of the individual's victim so that you have a holding grip. Once you have that, what we're going to do is we're going to make a fist. Now, how do we make this fist? We have to make this fist with our thumb inside and our 4 fingers wrapping that particular thumb so that we can actually pressurize the point from our thumb bone. Every individual has a thumb bone, so we need to use this thumb bone. I'll show it again. You need to press the thumb inside and wrap it from 4 fingers. Now, where exactly do we put pressure? It is 2 fingers below the bifurcation of the rib cage. When you see a rib cage has to bifurcate for every individual, so you measure 2 fingers below that individual's rib cage. Then you start putting pressure on that particular position and support it with your less prominent hand. Me being a righty, my prominent hand is right, so I start putting pressure from my right hand, supported with my left hand. You start pushing, you start thrusting that particular individual, and as you can see in the video itself, that would be enough in order to bring out the food particle down. Let me repeat again. The fist needs to be the thumb inside and 4 fingers crossing it, and the exact area of positioning to put the pressure is 2 fingers below the ribcage bifurcation. That would be enough in order to bring out the food particle out of the person's mouth. In case that does not help out, what you can do is you can call for medical assistance ASAP. Now let us understand how babies need to be treated when they are choking, because understand, two individuals are different. A baby is a different individual and an adult is different individual. So we'll again have a video demonstration understanding how to treat babies when actually they are going through choking, right? Firstly, understand babies are very soft and nimble. They are very, very soft. So you need to treat them accordingly. So firstly, you need to sit in a position, making a comfortable, area for them to lie down on. So as you can see, the individual actually crossed his legs and made a comfortable position for the baby. Then what you have to do this time, we're going to reverse the process. We'll first do abdominal thrust, but that too in a very, very low manner. We'll be only using 2 fingers because their body is very soft and we don't want to apply a lot of pressure. So we use only 2 fingers and we start rubbing the chest, or we start pressing the chest under the Helmick maneuver, that is 2 fingers below the bifurcation. And babies, it can be a little high as well. That is not issue. You start pressing it very slowly. Don't just go on putting a lot of pressure. Just press slowly. If that is not enough, we move on to a blowback or the next concept. For this, you need to make a hand such as this, covering the eye of the individual, but keeping the nose and the mouth open so that if the food particle has to come out, the passage is open for the food particle to come out either from the nose or the mouth. So you can see the individual covered the face and the eyes with their hands, but have left the nose and the mouth open. Once that is done, you need to make the baby go upside down and you need to start rubbing their back. Also, this time, even if after you rubbing the back, make sure you're doing it humbly and gently because their body is again, like I said, very soft. So as you can see, the individual is actually pressing on the back so that the food particle can come out. But since these are babies, they don't exactly know how to, throw out the food particle. So there might be a possibility that the food have got stuck in the mouth now. So you need to put your finger, you need to shove your finger inside the mouth or nose, whatever it is, and have to pull the entire object out from their mouth. So you can see it over here that the person is actually pulling the finger inside their mouth and actually putting the food particle out. Once that is done, you can provide comfort to the baby and that would be enough for the time being. So we understand how to react under certain situations and how to treat an individual and an adult if the individual is choking. Now, one of the majorly asked question is, it's okay that I understand tomorrow you have choking, then somebody is helping you. But what if we are alone? What if I was eating, popcorn and I got stuck? The popcorn got stuck in my windpipe. I'm standing alone. How do I help myself? Sir, you can also help yourself in different ways. The firstly being, all you need to do is you need to find an edge of anything. Could be a chair, could be a table, could be a bed, any furniture that has an edge. Go to that furniture, lean forward, and what we're going to do is we're going to do abdominal thrust or Helmick maneuver on our own self. How do we do that? Like I taught you, we're going to roll our thumb inside and wrap it around with our 4 fingers so that we can apply pressure from our thumb bone. We bow down to the edge of the furniture and we start putting pressure 2 fingers below the bifurcation of the rib cage. That is the exact place you need to put pressure. And you need to support your other hand and start putting yourself under the pressure. So once that is done, if you're alone, you can help yourself from not getting choked and die. So we need to understand that some body compositions are different to everybody's compared to that of an individual. So we need to treat a pregnant woman and an obese person. An obese person is generally that person who has an extra body weight. So we need to treat them differently. So instead of applying pressure 2 fingers below the bifurcation of the rib cage, we are now going to apply pressure on the breastbone. Now, where exactly is that position? It's around the just to a slightly above the middle area of your rib cage is exactly where you can find the breastbone of a pregnant woman or an obese person. Now, why do we treat them differently? Because firstly, they have an extra mass. Both the pregnant woman is actually carrying another baby which has an extra mass, and an obese person is carrying extra fat. So, in order to avoid that extra fat getting stimulated, we actually do it a little higher compared to that of other people, right? So, there are a lot of things you can actually do in order to save yourself, save your child from choking. There could be, you shouldn't buy tiny toys because, like I said, babies have a tendency of putting whatever they find in their surrounding into their mouth. So you can buy toys which are above than 4.25 centimeters. If you have a problem understanding what is 4.25 centimeter, take a toilet paper roll. If the toy fits inside, just don't buy it. Simple math, right? And that would help the child to, even if they put it in their mouth, they won't be able to swallow or snuggle it down. So with that, we come to a closure and understanding as to to a very common problem these days, that is choking, and how to react in these situations. We provide two process. The first one being the Helmick maneuver or abdominal thrust, and second one is known as blowback. There are a few things that you can actually do in order to prevent yourself from not even choking in the first place. Remember, a baby, a adult, a pregnant woman, an obese person all need to be treated differently. We don't perform the same activity on all of them because they all have different body compositions. So with that said, I also need to inform every one of you, if there's any query or if there is any question or there is any suggestion you guys want to drop down, we share our WhatsApp number on the chat box itself, and it is also there on the presentation. You can text us. We will make sure that we reply to all your questions or query, and if there's any feedback or suggestion, that will also be taken into consideration. So with that said, let us move on to a next set of a commonly seen problem whose solutions people don't have. This is known as snake bite. And let me provide you some interesting facts so that we can make this concept interesting. As you can see, there are some stats. Around 2.8 million cases happen alone in India, out of which there are around 46,000 deaths annually due to snake bite. And you want to know the interesting part? 80% of the populations of snakes are non-venomous in India. I mean, उनके अंदर poison ही नहीं होता. 80% of the snake population in India के अंदर poison ही नहीं होता. How do people die? They die out of heart attack. Once there is a snake bitten, people generally in India start to panic. And once they panic so much, they get a heart attack and people tend to die. Simultaneously, एक और जगह का मैं example देता हूँ, that is Australia. ऑस्ट्रेलिया में 80% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ द स्नेक्स आर वेनम वंस, मतलब उनके अंदर पॉइजन होता है, बट the least number of cases of death due to snake bites is also in Australia because over there people don't panic. So once you don't panic, the rush, अब क्या होता है ना, when a person or an individual starts to panic, there is an adrenal rush in the entire body. उससे क्या होता है, blood circulation starts to increase. And if there is a poison that is injected in your body, that poison starts to, and there is a blood rush, the poison starts to spread very fast. So if you're calm, composed when a snake actually bites you, don't you worry. You can always be treated and it's not that huge of a concept, right? अब सबके मन में एक ही सवाल आता है, that is a very big question, कि यार हम लोग डिसाइड कैसे करें कि अगर किसी स्नेक ने काटा है तो उसका जहर है कि नहीं है. It is very simple to understand if a snake that has bitten you has venom or not. If a snake leaves out teeth mark or fang marks on your body, अगर किसी सांप का दांत का निशान है तुम्हारे बॉडी में, it means that the snake is poisonous. Because in order for a snake to push poison inside your body, it needs to make a hole. नहीं तो जाएगा कैसे poison अंदर? So if you can see there are teeth mark or there are fang marks of a snake on your body, understand that the snake that has bitten you is a snake that has venom inside it. Otherwise, अगर आपको normally कोई सांप काटे और आपके दांत के निशान नहीं है आपके body में, तो don't worry, that snake does not have poison in it. So with that said, we simply understand that all you need to keep in mind is अगर दांत के निशान है, it is the only time that the snake that has bitten you has poison in it. Also, we live in the 21st century. So if a person is actually bitten by snake, don't take him to some Baba or Tantrik. Trust me, save that time. Say take him to a doctor instead. Because Baba Tantrik can actually not help you in any way. If there is poison inside your body, no prayer is actually going to pull that poison out. It is only a doctor that can help you out. So never go ahead and take him to a Baba or Tantrik. Secondly, if I'm giving you an example, let's say I was bitten by a snake around my elbow. So never tie a string, a thread or anything just above the area that has actually been bitten by snake. Because what happens is once you do that, the rest of the body part starts to clot. Blood clot hona start ho jata hai because you're actually pressing just the above part compared to that the entire hand. And that can lead to, rupture or paralysis of the pura organ or the pura hand or the pura leg or whatever part that is bitten. If you really need to provide any kind of comfort, what you can do is you can actually wrap the entire body part. If I was bitten around my elbow, what you can do is you can entirely wrap my entire hand through either a bandage or a gauze or anything in order to provide, sufficient, sensation to that particular scenario. Now, what are the symptoms and how do we understand that an individual that has been bitten by a venomous snake or not? There are several ways you can understand. Firstly, the person might have blurred vision. उसको धुंधला दिख सकता है. The person might end up vomiting. He even might pass out. There might be gastric attacks, and these are certain things that can actually make you understand that the person is actually going through certain kind of reaction in the body, and this is because a poisonous snake has bitten him, right? So with that said, what are the things that you need to do if there is a snake bite? This is very important. Firstly, call up a doctor and inform each and everything about the scenario. What exactly your situation is, what time the person was bitten by a snake. And see, I'll tell you why we need to inform the doctor so accurately, because sometimes the doctor might not find your place in order to help you out. So what he can do is, if you've explained the scenario to him, he or she can help you over the phone itself. What are the things that you can do in order to neutralize the effect of the snake bite? And sometimes providing the accurate location might make it easier for the doctor to locate you. So unka wo time bachta hai in order to locate you, and they can directly come to you. So therefore, you need to provide all the specifications to the doctor, informing what exactly happened. The next thing that you need to do is you need to raise the body part that has actually been bitten by the snake above the below the heart rate level. As you can see, if the person was bitten around in the calf muscle of the area, the leg was risen just below the heart level, because once that is done, the blood flow of that body part starts to reduce. जो normal blood flow होता है individual का, उससे blood flow reduce हो जाता है. And then you can see when the blood flow reduces, the poison takes time for it in order to spread entirely through the body. If you have a snake bite kit with you, it is recommended that you can use that snake bite kit. Now, what are the components of a snake bite kit? A snake bite kit consists of a syringe, as you can see that in the example or that in the presentation. It has a suction pump attached to the needle of the syringe. What you exactly need to do is, when you see the teeth marks, you put that syringe's suction pump on that particular position and you start pumping it out. Now, what happens is, once you pump it out, there is a possibility जिस होल से उस स्नेक ने पॉइजन अंदर भेजा था, उसी होल से the blood and the poison starts to ooze out. Not all of the poison would be able to come out from those holes, but a majority of the poison can be coming out from those holes. If you don't have a suction pump syringe, or you don't have a snake bite kit, what you can do is you can wash the snake bitten area with soap water. Now, this is something we studied in our chemistry classes. Key acids and bases, when react together, they neutralize each other's effect, right? So a snake bite is something acidic in nature, and when you actually wash the hand with soap water, that is basic in nature. So that will neutralize the effect for some time. So that is one thing that can be done. Also, like I said previously, how do we bandage the entire situation, or how do we bandage the entire place? Like I said, if the person was actually bitten around the ankle, you just don't wrap around the ankle, or close by areas to that particular ankle, because you're actually clotting that area. You're actually making that area suffocated for blood to not pass through. So if you really want to cover the area, as you can see in the example, उसके ankle पे snake ने bite किया था, तो we cover the entire leg with the bandage, so that the entire leg has a disruption in the blood flow and the poison does not spread that fast. So with that, we come to a closure and an understanding of how to react under certain situation when a snake bites. सबसे पहला चीज, or the first and foremost thing that needs to be done, is calm the person down who's actually going through a snake bite. That is because not majority of the snake that has bitten you is going to be venomous. There might be possibilities कि बहुत snakes ऐसे हो जिनके अंदर poison ना भी हो, but due to panicking, the person might get heart attack and might die due to that as well. So keep the person calm, call the doctor up, explain him the entire scenario, what is the exact location of your of the victim's situation, what exactly happened, at what time it happened, so that the doctor can help you over the call or can find you exactly where you are. And you can wash the person's bitten area with soap water, and these are the certain things that you can follow up. Now my co-mate Himanshu would be taking forward the presentation from here. So with that said, thank you Himanshu for providing me the floor to have an amazing experience and share out the information to these young minds, seeing their young faces in the early morning and getting motivated to keep this up. So with that said, Himanshu, you have the floor with you. Go ahead. Thank you so much, Himanshu.
Yes, lovely session by Nikunj. So let's move on to our last topic for today. Before that, I would like all the students to switch on their cameras, because we only have 48 and all participants. So I request everybody to switch on their cameras. Yes, guys, I'm waiting. Let's go live. Let's do some activity. Let's see what we have learned. Let's put in to use. Yes, first two lines on, eagerly waiting for others also. Won't start until the cameras are on, so please. Barnali, Nayan, Ankita, Rukshana, Bajrang, Satish, Mrithul, Nikhu, Dipanar, 1+ Nod, Rajiv. Yes, everybody in action, back again. Yes, Pratha, Vinitha, Madhusmitha. Yes, guys, so it's a good time to switch on your cameras back again. Huawei is still connecting. Galaxy A30 is still connecting. Yes. Bhumika 1 2 3 4 5. Chiranjeev. Yes, time to switch on your cameras, I suppose. Yes. So okay. All backbenchers in the house. Done. We'll go to the next topic for today, and the last topic for today, that is bleeding. So usually there's an activity for bleeding. We'll move on to the presentation directly. So for bleeding, I would like to make sure that you all guys know the uses of blood. Blood in our body is vital. Blood is the transporter of oxygen to our body organs. Your science teacher should have already taught you all these. So Nikunj, if you can share the screen, please. Yes, so bleeding, human body contains only 5 liters of blood. हमारे पूरे body में, that is the whole of an adult body is only equipped with 5 liters of blood. So with those 5 liters of blood, you know how precious is blood, because a normal usual water can is of around 30 liters, but your human body, an adult human body, a teacher, a parent, has only 5 liters of blood. So how do you stop bleeding? There are 3 ways to stop bleeding, and those will be shared with you right now in another 2 minutes. Yeah, on the way. Yes, so when we come to bleeding, the bleeding, blood, what does blood do? Blood circulates oxygen to your body from one part to another, and uh, it carries vital operations. And during flight, fear, and action time, blood is one of the main components. So yes, how is blood transported? There are main three pulse location in your body. These pulse location are where the blood is circulated to your body from the heart majorly. So one is it in your hand, that is radial, one is in your leg, that is femoral, and other one is in your neck, that is scatoid pulse. These are main three pulse location in your body. From there blood is circulated to your body from heart. So what do you do in case of bleeding? You have got a hurt. You are running to submit your classwork, homework to your teacher. Your teacher is very strict. 7:30 sharp on my table. He needs his notebook. So you run across the stairs in your classroom, and you fall down and you get hurt. You get some cut on your body. So in that case, you have to first aid your friend. You are learning to be a medical first responder. Uh, so this Yes. In this session from Guwahati, you are learning how to become a medical first responder. We at Terapan Task Force are trained from National Disaster Response Force (NDRF). So yes, we are going to show you how to deal in case of bleeding. Whenever somebody has got hurt, first of all you have to do as an MFR, कॉल दी हॉस्पिटल. आपको सीधा हॉस्पिटल में डॉक्टर को इन्फॉर्म करना है. यू हैव टू इन्फॉर्म दी हॉस्पिटल that so and so has happened, please come soon. Second step is first aid. How do you do first aid in case of bleeding? Next slide. Next slide, please. So in case of bleeding, there are three methods which you can use: direct pressure, pressure point, and elevation. Indirect pressure, as the name says, जहाँ पे लगा है, wherever you are hurt, bring a fine cloth, एक साफ सुथरा कपड़ा, a neat piece of cloth, maybe pillow cover, maybe your handkerchief. Bring that and keep it on your hand. That's it. Or leg, wherever it is injured. So that is direct pressure. Second one is pressure point. If the bleeding is not stopped by direct pressure, if the bleeding is not in control from direct pressure, then you have to go for pressure point. In pressure point, what you have to do is tourniquet the pulse location. You saw those three pulse location, right? Scatoid, radial, and femoral. If you have got hurt in your hand, tie a tourniquet at your hand. If tourniquet is not available, tie a handkerchief or tie a long piece of dupatta to your hand. If you have got hurt in your thighs or legs, tie it on your thigh or leg. So when the blood from the heart is not reaching the body part, the outflow of the blood from your body will stop, and in that case, pressure point works. The third technique is elevation. In elevation, what you have to do is you have to raise your injured body part above your heart level. Your heart level should be lower than your injured part. So if you have got hurt on your hand, you can raise your hands and from it somewhere. And if you have got hurt on your leg, then you can sleep, you can lie down on the floor and then raise your leg on the chair or any higher place. So these are the three techniques what you apply in case of bleeding. Whenever somebody is bleeding near you, you know that you have to go for either direct pressure, pressure point, or elevation. Yes, next slide. Next slide. Nose bleeding. Blood coming out from your nose is one of the commonly seen first aid responses. And in that case, how do you deal with that? That is a common saying, that common doing in case of nose bleeding, that whoever is getting blood out from the nose are are led to keep their head backwards and stop the blood in the nose. That is a wrong perception, and that is a wrong thing which we are following. We are getting educated on first aid, so let's be sure that whatever we are doing is right. So in case of nose bleeding, you don't have to bend your head backwards and stop the blood in your nose. Instead, you have to bend forward and let the blood flow out from your nose. So that blood does not clot here. Blood does not clot here, and you don't get choked. Okay, I hope this is also very clear. And then you have to limit the exposure. The blood from your blood the blood the blood from your nose should be restricted and should not flow very profoundly. So you can keep a handkerchief or a neat cloth on your nose and lightly pinch your nose so that bleeding stops. In case of nose bleeding, you do not have to stop the blood in your nose, because that will choke your nose and then you will not be able to breathe properly. आप सांस नहीं ले पाएंगे. इसीलिए आपको that is the reason you have to bend forward. Nearby anybody is nose bleeding and his bend is for backward, you have to go there and say, I am a trained MFR from Terapanth Task Force, and you have to bend your head forward and let the blood flow out. You do not have to restrict blood flow. In no case, blood should stop at your nose. Okay, next slide. What do you do in case a object inside the wound is hurt? अगर कोई any foreign obstacle like pen, scissors, or nail is stuck in your hand or body part, what do you have to in that case? You don't have to take that thing out. If the pen is gone inside your body, let it be there. You just have to bandage it around so that it doesn't move. It is stable. And then you have to wait for the doctor to do the surgery or to do the first aid. Okay, next. Internal bleeding. Whenever you are hurt with something and the skin is not ruptured, that and if your internal organs are bleeding, so uh, that is known as internal bleeding. And what are the symptoms of internal bleeding? Those are first of all, the most common symptom of internal bleeding is swelling and turning bluish of skin. Skin on your injured part will turn to change color, that is nearly violet or purplish color, that is swelling. And then you will have pain. You will have pain in that body part. And then you will start nausing and vomiting. Also, you may have shivering and sweating. So these are the cases of internal bleeding. And what you have to do in case of internal bleeding, next slide. In case of internal bleeding, you have to first of all bring an ice pack, and then keep on the body part so that that is not swelling more. And second thing, what you have to do is bring the doctor, call the doctor and inform the first aid that so and so has happened in our area. Please come soon and examine. This is all for today. We have learned 4 important topics for life saving, that is choking, snake bite, then bleeding. Also, we have learned how to give first aid in case of emergencies to anyone who is requiring them. As in trained MFR, you don't follow what everybody is following, but you have to come in front of the crowd. You don't have to be one in the crowd. You have to come front and help each other, because helping is caring. And as a trained MFR, you know how to first aid. So in case of any medical emergencies, you know how to act. Thank you all for listening patiently. These are the topics for today. Back to our host, Manish ji. Yes, Manish ji.
तो साथियों, हमने जाना कि किस तरह हम विभिन्न परिस्थितियों में, चाहे वो जलना हो, चाहे वो चोकिंग हो, चाहे वो ब्लीडिंग हो, हम किस परिस्थितियों में अपनी ही नहीं दूसरों की भी सहायता कर सकते हैं। तो हम इस चीज को एज ए ट्रेंड एमएफआर, मेडिकल फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्डर के माध्यम से हम इस चीज को आगे ले जाएंगे और मानवीय सेवा के लिए हम हमेशा तत्पर रहेंगे। अब इसी संदर्भ में मैं फीडबैक के लिए बुलाना चाहता हूं स्कूल से जुड़े हुए हमारे शिक्षिका श्रीमती नीलिमा तालुकदार बर्मन। अगर नीलिमा तालुकदार बर्मन जी जुड़े हुए हैं तो कृपया अपने आप को अनम्यूट कीजिए। शायद वो जुड़े हुए नहीं है, तो आगे चलते हैं। अब मैं वोट ऑफ थैंक्स के लिए बुलाना चाहूंगा हमारे तेरापंथ युवक परिषद गुवाहाटी के मंत्री श्री निर्मल जी बैद को। निर्मल जी बैद, अपने आप को अनम्यूट करें और वोट ऑफ थैंक्स के लिए अपनी शुभकामनाएं दें। ये सर अनम्यूट कीजिए सर।
जी धन्यवाद मनीष जी। हाँ, मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
आ रही है सर
जी। आराध्य देव के श्री चरणों में नमन। महामनस्वी महातपस्वी आचार्य महासमण जी के चरणों में सत वंदन। असम की धरा पर विराजित साध्वी श्री संगीत श्री जी एवं आपकी सहवर्तनी साधु वीरेंद्र को मेरा भाव भरा वंदन। तेरापन टास्क फोर्स एक ऐसा आयाम आबादी का जिसके द्वारा आपदा, विपदा एवं मेडिकल इमरजेंसी में किस तरह से हम आसपास या अपने स्वजनों या और भी किसी मेडिकल इमरजेंसी में हम किसी की मदद कर सकते हैं, इस पर आधारित है। आज इस प्रोग्राम में जुड़े हमारे आबादी के संगठन मंत्री श्री जयेश जी मेहता का मैं धन्यवाद आभार ज्ञापन करना चाहूँगा। जो चूँकि आज हमारे 2 प्रोग्राम एक ही समय पर चल रहे हैं, हमारी कार्यशाला भी चल रही है, तो उसमें उन्होंने समय निकाल के हमारे साथ जुड़े और अपने कविता के माध्यम से उन्होंने अब हमें मोटिवेट किया। मैं बहुत बहुत आभार ज्ञापन करना चाहूँगा उनका। मैं आभार ज्ञापन करना चाहूँगा हमारे टीटीएफ के राष्ट्रीय प्रभारी श्री विकास जी बोथरा एवं हमारे राज्य प्रभारी श्री बजरंग जी कुंडलिया का, जिन्होंने ये मतलब वर्चुअल जो एम्पावरमेंट है जो ऑनलाइन जो चला रहे हैं उसमें उनके द्वारा चलाए गए इस प्रोग्राम के लिए मैं आभार ज्ञापन करना चाहूँगा। मैं हमारे स्कूल के अथॉरिटीज़ का, जिनके सहयोग के बिना शायद ये आज कार्यक्रम हमारा नहीं हो पाता। मैं धन्यवाद करता हूँ हमारे आज के ट्रेनर श्री निकुंज जी एंड हिमांशु जी का, जिन्होंने बहुत ही सुंदर ढंग से ये प्रस्तुत किया कि कैसे हम मतलब एक किसी की इमरजेंसी में हम कैसे मतलब एक दूसरे के काम आ सकते हैं, कैसे हम हेल्प कर सकते हैं। मैं धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करना चाहूँगा हमारे आज के होस्ट श्री मनीष जी, बहुत ही सुंदर और संचालन के लिए। और अंत में मैं आज हम सभी से जो भी जुड़े हैं, मैं सभी का धन्यवाद करना चाहूँगा इस कार्यक्रम को एक सफल बनाने के लिए। धन्यवाद। ओम अरम।
धन्यवाद। आशा ही नहीं, पूर्ण विश्वास है कि शंकर देव विद्या निकेतन गुवाहाटी के जिन छात्रों ने आज इस कार्यक्रम से जो जुड़े हैं, वो निश्चित ही कुछ अच्छी चीज सीख के जाएंगे, अच्छी टेक्निक सीख के जाएंगे। और जब किसी को सहायता की जरूरत होगी, वो हमेशा भीड़ से निकलकर आगे बढ़कर उनकी सहायता करेंगे और अपना स्कूल का और देश का नाम रोशन करेंगे। अंतिम 2 लाइनों के साथ आज का कार्यक्रम हम यही समाप्त करेंगे। वक्त कम है, वक्त कम है, जितना दम लगाना है लगा दो। वक्त कम है, जितना दम लगाना है लगा दो। थोड़ों को मैं जगाता हूं, थोड़ों को तुम जगा दो। थोड़ों को मैं जगाता हूं, थोड़ों को तुम जगा दो। धन्यवाद। वंदे मातरम। आप स्वस्थ रहें, सुखी रहें, यही मंगल कामना के साथ ओम अरहम। कार्यक्रम समाप्त।